Hello, hello, hello. Good evening. Welcome to the ItCast, Real Talk on Sex. I am your host, Nika Sherelle. The ItCast is our community outreach podcast that increases diversity in conversations on health and sexuality. Through this work, we are creating a world where all people feel loved, honored, and respected. This episode is brought to you by the House of Sherelle. You can check out our online store with all of our products at triggerhappytoy.com and also the International Institute for Sexual Empowerment. We are creating a safe space to talk about sex. So that's a 501c3 nonprofit, and you can find out more at iiseglobal.org. You can check out our calendar of events at nikasherelles.com. And if you'd like to have one-on-one coaching with me, please book through my Calendly for a free connection session. Ask us anything. We want to hear from you. So if you have any of your questions, anything out there that we need to speak to, go ahead and send that in. And you can get access to our bonus content on Patreon, subscribe to this YouTube channel, and share with your community. All right. So now we get to dive in. This week's topic is real talk on owning yourself. And today in the booth, we have Lulu Batista. Lulu is the sexpert and owner behind OohLuluCherryBox. She's got multiple licensures and certification as a sex expert and specialist. And she's been awarded many items, including being at XBIZ and a whole bunch of other stuff. I'm going to let her come on and tell you more about herself. Hi, Lulu.
Hello, audience.
Yes. So first thing is tell us a little bit about yourself and how you define yourself culturally.
Okay, well, again, like you said, I am Lulu Batista. I am the owner of OohLuluCherryBox and have been for going on 9 years now. I am a master certified sexpert from Laval's University, but I also have many different certifications. I have graduated from SexTech school and I have certifications in everything from lube to toys and batteries. Okay. I am born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. I've only moved out of here for 4 years, but I love Brooklyn, so here I am again. And I have been married for over 19 years. I've been my partner for 22. So for me, that's the only person I know. And I am, believe, I've been called a Swiss Army knife, everything foreplay. So I'll take that. I own that. I receive it. And yeah, I'm here to have a good time today.
Yes, I love it. I love it. So, this episode, we're going to be talking about owning yourself. And I know when we had conversations in the past, we talked a lot about pleasure. We talked about choice, agency, and autonomy. And I'd love for you to just speak to the topic a little bit.
Well, so, it was especially in the month that we are in, for me right now, people don't all the time do that, right? So they are going off of what somebody else wants. And we're not taking into account what we like, what we dislike, what we may want to try, what we not. If the other person is more dominant, they just seem to follow what they want. And a lot of times to the detriment of themselves because they're uncomfortable, they weren't ready, they don't fully embrace what's happening, but they don't know how to express that. That is one thing I help people with. They can come and talk to me and I'll be the middle person and say, hey, this person like this and this. And so where can we meet here in the middle? Because it could be frustrating. It could be intimidating, and everybody deserves to have an amazing sexual experience with themselves or their partners. And so if you need help to catalyze that, let's do it.
Yes. I love that. That lends into a phrase you use called pleasure advocacy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Say more about that.
It's just like I look at it as I'm an advocate, for my children. So even when they're in school, they need something, they look into the parent. You're the person who speaks up when they cannot. So in the same sense, sometimes when the person don't know the right words or they want something, they don't know how to express that. Give me a couple of keywords. Oh, so how are we looking on this? Yeah, that sounds like what I'm saying to myself, but I don't know how to express to my partner, or I don't know how they receive it because I'm not confident in telling it to them. So maybe I feel a little shy and like, oh, you don't really mean that because you're not saying it with enough confidence. Yeah, I'm just not that person, and you know that. So to have somebody here that can say, listen, they want to try this thing right here, and what do you feel about that? Let's negotiate how we can work this out. I'm happy to be that person.
Yes, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. You talked about asking for what you want. We were talking about sex education, and I know you host a podcast, Mindful Sex Ed. So I know that's very inspiring, very passionate thing that you do.
Absolutely.
And um, I want you to talk a bit more about the asking for what you want. I don't know if that lends into foreplay or anything else, but I know there's a whole lot of things.
I mean, that lends into everything, again, obviously foreplay being my, I feel like my baby at this point. A lot of times, especially for vulva owners, we need more of that. And if we don't ask for that and we go ahead and allow penetrative sex to happen, we have pain, we have discomfort, we have unenjoyment. And the other person's like, "Ooh, I'm good." And you're just like, I wish I would have said, can you do that a little bit longer because my body's not ready, you know, afraid the other person will get impatient or would understand. Well, why do you need more? You seem like you're ready. Yes, seems like you're ready is a great song, but guess what? I'm not yet.
Right. Seems and is are not the same thing.
Exactly. Need a little bit more. Come on. I'm almost to the ready spot.
Yes. Oh my God. I gotta say that is definitely top of the line. And penis and vagina sex is not the only way to have sex. So
Hmm.
when we're talking about foreplay, that could look like anything, and that could be the play itself.
Exactly. An enhanced, extended foreplay session can sometimes be more illuminating than some fast penetrating sex. Like if done properly, which is things that I teach,
Mhm.
um, you can be like, I'm good. You'll see what's happening. I'm so good. Thanks so much for that. Here's a high five, like something. You really did your big one. Listen. I'm good. Thanks. Thank you so much. Appreciate this. Opened
Right?
my eyes. I saw stars and comments. This was next level, top tier, even.
Yes.
That is just amazing.
I love it. It's learning some stuff. This actually reminds me. So you're a sexpert. I don't
Hmm.
know if this is happening in your world or not, but the conversation around squirting is so like it's popular, we're rolling, it's coming out more and more. And I bring that up because I feel like people weren't really talking about that some time ago. And I
Hmm.
think the reason they weren't talking about it is because there wasn't as much effort put into women's pleasure when it comes to sex. So
Right.
if you're not putting in that effort and really leaning into it, then squirting is not even a place you're going to attain because you ain't getting past being aroused.
I very true, but I also feel like, especially in this climate, that they're looking for it to happen as like a trophy sport. To say
Mm,
that you have in quotations for people who are listening made someone do something, when in reality I can self pleasure and squirt all over the place, and you could have came and nothing would have happened
mhm.
because intently that's all that you're focusing on. And when you focus too hard on stuff, sometimes you're not going to achieve that. So a
Right.
lot of people who you're hearing that are squirting, I've talked to a lot of them, is from self pleasure. It's
Yeah.
not from another person coming and giving it to them.
Not often, definitely. And like that forcing an outcome. I love that you said
Yeah.
trophy sport. I'm like, mhm. And so in the space of not being able to do something like that, then there's that level of shame and like, oh well, why am I not quote unquote
Hmm.
doing this good enough, blah blah blah, fulfilling that trophy chase that's happening.
Right. It just, some people are not. Let's think about body. I just might not be able to achieve that with your help, without your help. it might just not be my journey. So
Yeah.
now you're going to be upset with yourself, you're upset with me because of a journey that I can't go on, that maybe my body is not ready to receive yet.
Mhm. Mhm.
Can I feel the same way if I said I was a person who loves to give penis owners prostate orgasms and you said you wasn't ready? Can I now feel upset that I didn't give you that amazing orgasm from your P spot that'll give you turtleback orgasm that I love? That's my freaking trophy. Now I can't get it. So then we both upset. And
Right.
now what?
This lends perfectly into sexual expectations, and I feel like that's both on a societal level and a personal level.
Hmm. Um, yeah, because we all see what, in quotations again, what we're supposed to be doing. As a vulva owner, you're supposed to know how to give amazing head or BJs, or as taking quotes from my mother, learning how to give a shiner. That's showing age, right?
Wait a minute, wait a minute. You gotta define that one for the peanut gallery.
Well, I don't like to use the old word. I don't like to use old. I don't like that word. I
Okay.
like to use very seasoned or very marinated people, because
You
when
said
you
old.
season something, it's better. Okay,
Yeah.
so my more seasoned folks, my family is from Belize, so we use different terminology. So they use things like that. So giving a good shiner. Are you shining up that knob? Is like when you think about a handle. Are you shining that up? Are you polishing that off?
Got you. Got you. I get it now.
So
Okay.
you're supposed to know how I'm ready to be an expert at that. How can you be an expert at that? And if you're not an expert, now you're being talked about. Oh, she don't know how to give a good head. Oh, hello, where was I supposed to learn this at? Was it
Right.
in class?
Right.
Because they're not giving it. I mean, I give them, but everybody ain't taking them. So where am I supposed to learn this from?
Yeah.
Did the penis owner learn how they wanted their penis to be sucked to give me guidance on it? No, you did not.
Yep.
Let's think within first before you try to blame without.
Yes. Ooh. See, and I love that because you're talking about education, you're talking about access. Really, it's
Mhm.
like how much have I learned up until this point, and what were the expectations being younger and the sex education that came out versus now being older and what's expected to be known.
Right, exactly. We just can't. This is trial and error. So much trial and error, and especially now, it's everywhere. You can go on the X or the Twitter, what it's called now, and see the sex. Right? You like, oh, I can do. I'm supposed to do that. Do what? What are they doing?
Mhm.
What is it that's really happening? You don't even really know.
That's a good one. Yeah.
The expectations. What did I hear from my child today? Because she knows I'm an educator. So she takes my information and educates her friends being in high school. Came to me and said, "Hey mom, someone asked me to ask you what's finger popping." I said, "Ooh, that's a throwback word for me." We heard that since '98. People still
See,
using that? What happened?
okay, see, I'm learning some new things here, so I can only imagine what that means now. I think I got you. I got you. Hopefully, everybody out there watching has also caught that bus. So,
Because I've heard it's called different things in different areas, right? So here in New York, Brooklyn mostly, we know it as finger popping a vulva, and other places called finger banging, and this,
mhm.
so it's like,
Oh, the language, the language. I love it. It talks about the fact that we are having these conversations and the context in which we're having them is decisive, just like the context of sex is decisive. You might see something happening, but you don't know what was negotiated, what was talked about, uh, who's even involved in the
yeah.
interaction. You just have that visual. And people go out trying to replicate that visual without the rest of the context, and that can be very
Hmm.
detrimental.
Absolutely, absolutely, and when you talked about, this really big phenomenon that's really happening, is really getting more thing about the squirting. The other big one, it of course it's been talked about over time, but now so much more. I mean, the podcast clips that are filtering with the vulva owners being very mean, very nasty about
Mm.
penis size and what you supposed to have. Listen, and I hope everybody that is listening, that will listen now, that will listen later, what I can take is not what you can take, and vice versa. So we cannot shame anybody because they can take this and I cannot. There is not no standard. What works for me works for me. What works for you works for you. On a good day, maybe you can take this out, but on a bad day, you can take way less than that. So when they're on here spewing, oh,
Mhm.
you if you can't take 9, you're weak. Listen, that's not my journey.
Right.
Maybe back in the day it was, could have been, but maybe I really didn't like it. I tried it out. It's like we try something. You know what? It's not really for me. I can't. I'll take it on occasions. Like,
Yeah.
why are we shaming? It's a right fit for everybody. And when you find it, B and K in that.
Yes. Yes. Oh my God. And I love that you're bringing this up because just like every penis is a different length, every vaginal canal has its own anatomy too.
Yeah,
It doesn't.
to be short. So
Right. Like your cervix might be right there. And there are so many things to think about because I feel like there's the idea that every woman should be able to take that and every man should have that. And that's not the world we work in. You said it perfect.
absolutely.
Like the shaming. Oh my goodness. And I'm like, for me, I think about it and I'm like, I'm not less of a woman just because I have an opinion about penis size.
Exactly. Exactly.
Um,
If you don't agree with that narrative, well, I guess what I don't. You have to find what works for you.
yes.
I've been on this journey self finding for a very long time. I know what works comfortably because it's all about the comfortability, right? It
Yes.
may fit, but am I comfortable? Can I have a great time? Yeah, I can have a good time, but can I have a great time? Can I
Mm.
have a longevity time?
Right. Right. Oh, and this brings me into the idea, looking at, the idea that sex back in the past was supposed to hurt. Just take
All
that one.
the
Just
time. Well, then I definitely don't want it. If it's gonna hurt every time, I'm good.
mm-mm, mm-mm.
I'm good without it. It's okay.
That lends into the excuse of not actually trying for pleasure, and also this assumption that everybody is supposed to do the same and feel the same things and ways. And it is not the case. It's not the case. That's part of the reason this podcast exists because I'm like, no, shame free space. We got to be able to talk about sex and sexuality in a way that empowers people and really gives them the ability to love and discover who they are.
hmm And so I just want to again pivot back to couples, working with couples and all that. And so I work with a array of couples, right? I have you have to be 18, right, to work with me. But all across, from beginners to intermediate to well, they think they're experts, and all across the play. I have clients right now in India because things are hard. They can't get different information.
Mhm.
Working with older clients is amazing because uh, they're so boxed in one setting, and so when you introduce something, a lot of times they're like, I've been waiting for somebody to introduce this to me, and I just didn't understand what I was looking for. And it brings a different element, when I do events and, more seasoned, because again, I don't like the old word, but more seasoned people come and they are curious and they're asking questions and they want to be involved. Oh, can I learn more? And both partners are willing and they're like, yes. And then,
Mhm.
they come back and they say, thank you so much. He was like, I feel like we just met and we've been together for 40 years. And I feel like this was like the first time someone said to me, it made me feel like when we hooked up in a cornfield. I was like, okay.
Okay.
Back in the day, we was courting. That's what a session after you was like. I was like, oh, okay.
Psychology of it. That's beautiful because I feel like we talked about context is decisive. So is the psychological experience of what you're doing. So
Right.
maybe having sex in public is a thing. Like public places, it might not be voyeurism, but it's like we're getting to do something sneaky. And that can have its own psychological impact on what you're enjoying and how you're enjoying it. And that gets
Yeah.
to change all the time. Go ahead.
hmm I think. Well, I mean, yes, on that part, but I definitely know for the female, she was just like, I saw him again as that young man that we were sneaking away. And we were in this space and it was just us and we were just connected and there was no other distractions. And that's what I got from that moment. And it just took me back to know why I'm still with this person. I was like, oh, I like that for you.
That is beautiful. Mm.
Now after that, he did need a massage session from me because that's my other hat because he had put in some work. He forgot his age for just a little bit. And so he didn't stretch first, but you got him right. It's okay.
Yes. Oh my God. I love that. I love that. Like the getting into yourself, getting into yourself. So, okay, you talked about owning yourself and that whole
Mhm.
process, your journey. And I'm very curious to know what that's been like for you.
Some people get shy about talking about their story. It's so funny. I'm like, I love that shit because it's mine, and I literally narrated it. Okay, um, and it helps other people. So, my sexual journey started when I was 13 and a half.
Love the and a half.
Yes. Um, and I feel like I was very intentional in that. Before Yelp, I knew this person's Yelp review. And so that was very important for me. We weren't dating. We were the same age, but I knew your resume.
Mhm.
Okay. And it was a good resume. 10 out of 10. A lot of satisfied customers. I said, well, if we're gonna go ahead and go on this journey for the first time, I need a professional.
They're nice.
I'm not gonna
Oh
take no
my
amateur.
God.
I need a professional.
That just reminded me of that Doja Cat lyric. I don't know if you know it.
I probably do not. I don't listen to the new stuff.
Me neither, but I heard this one and I was like, oh my God, that's so real. I heard from a friend of a friend that your dick was a 10 out of 10.
Okay.
I just had to,
Got it.
it felt contextually on point. Continue.
Got it.
Resume.
Um, and he was. There was instruction. There was things to take away from it. Things I didn't like. Him asking me to spell his name, or I was like, I'm not doing this. I don't understand what that part is about. Uh, you must be doing this with other people. I'm not really sure what's happening here. Um, being prepared. Having the condoms, showing them to me. Yeah, I'm using these. Thank you. I'll see if I like these. Um, and the size for me fits, right? And so that was the bar for me. For this body,
Right.
you can't come smaller than this for me. Because this fit almost like a glove. So anything below that is going to be too small. So I can't do it. And probably anything too big is going to be too cumbersome. We
Hmm.
worked it out. But and it was a great experience. Again, we didn't date. It was good. It was no emotions attached to it, and that's pretty much a lot of my journey until I got with my husband. But that taught me a lot of things. I knew
Hmm.
what I wanted. I wasn't going to take anything less than.
Hmm.
And that inspired me to make an application getting to know you before I fuck you.
Mm.
Because just like any job application, this is a job. You've come to apply. I need to know what's on your resume. What have you done? Are you a beginner? Do you have something under your belt? Do you have some specialty skills? Because everybody got specialty skills. What are yours?
I like that. I'm taking notes.
We had some people who applied who didn't last, right? And that's okay. Trial and error. We do trials on websites all the time, right? So we had a trial and didn't really make the cut, but thank you for applying. Right? You will not be getting called back. And actually, it says that on the end of my application. Just wait for a callback, right? And then we found people who the understanding was there, right? The connection was there. I pride myself on those decisions I made in life. I had a sexual friendship, partnership, arrangement with somebody for 5+ years. And it was never heavy. We understood one another. We had a sexual connection with each other, but we knew that dating was not a thing for us.
Yeah.
And it worked. When we would meet each other, was it your turn to bring the condoms? You had got it last time, right? Well, I have some here. But that's what it was. We would see, hey, it wasn't heavy. I could see him out with a girl. It's nothing. He could see me out because it wasn't in that space. And
Right.
it's still very difficult. People ask that question. And for vulva owners, for females, that can't be true. You had feelings. No, they didn't.
Right.
Just because we female don't mean we overly feeling. I am not that person. I have a goal to accomplish. The goal is for Lulu to bust one. So I cannot snap people's neck off because if I'm bound up, it's not a good time.
Right. Right. At least one. Yes.
And I used to do sabbaticals I used to go like in hibernation almost, right? But I would take sabbaticals from December up until a little after my birthday in March. There was no sex of any. There was none.
Okay.
I take my salt baths. I do my Kegels at that time. There was no sex. And then when spring came, here she is. They're like, oh my God, how do you do that? You just do. I was dating people at the time. I was like, there'll be none of that now. They're like, listen, you can stare, you can go. Because believe me, there's people applying waiting for springtime. So what do you want to do?
Yes, I love the amount of agency that you have there. Like,
And we are our own agents, right? Again, advocating for ourselves. This
right.
is what I'm doing now. If you're not on board, there is the door.
Yes,
Because believe me, somebody is waiting online.
that's legit. That's legit. And I love the fact that you're talking about an application process and the vetting and really having that sense of control. Is I think that's one of the things when we get into sexuality where people don't feel like they have control over what's going to happen,
Absolutely.
where something is going. And you also brought up condoms. Now, I'm the kind of person I can't stand it if someone doesn't want to use a condom. It makes me itch. I'm like,
Mhm.
nope, you failed the resume right there. Like, let me put together my own list of questions. And one of the things I say is like, as a woman, I was always taught keep condoms with you because there's no excuse. If I'm going
Yeah,
somewhere and it might go down, there's no reason or excuse for us to not use a condom. And
absolutely.
I think that in itself is about that agency and empowerment of I get to protect my body and I get to have whatever connection there I want.
That's it. And
Oh,
I advocated. Listen, it's just what it is. I mean, you only get one of this. Why are you not gonna treat it as it should be treated? You're
yeah.
gonna just accept anything? Nah, I'm good. I know I'm not for everybody. Everybody is not for me. And for those who are, we're gonna have a good time here. Until we're not. Until we're not, right? And that was basically my whole high school, thing. I dated, but it wasn't right. And then when I turned 18, first year of college, I said, all right now, played this game a little bit long. I'm ready. And I literally had a conversation with my long-standing arrangement and someone else who was kind of arrangement, and I let them know, listen, this is gonna be our last fun time because I want to date someone now.
Mm.
And they said, all right, I get it. And that's what we did. Had a great time. Had a great winter break, right? Only time I went outside of sabbatical because I was closing,
Cool.
contracts out. I had to close these books out, so we had to be finished with that. And then took break, kegel up myself and get it right and tight. And following year, November, I met my husband in 2002, and here we are. And that's been the person
God.
since that time.
Whoo! Yes.
Mind you, I've never taken a sabbatical since then, but
Well, I mean, the glove always fit.
and we joke about this all the time. He's like, "What do you mean?" I said, "Listen, this is a different time. I can't take 6 months of not because I would probably kill people. It just can't happen. I have in house. I'm not no." No.
DOD.
No. It's right here. I'm not gonna do that. So we'll just take another bath and we'll do some Kegels. It always looks new and tight all the time anyway. So, because you got to be Kegeling all day. Kegels are important. I don't understand people not doing it. You can literally get vagina prolapse. It's a thing. So,
More you
the more you
know.
know.
That is real. I had never even heard that term before. Okay. And one of the things that you pointed out, and I want to, put this in there because we were talking about penis size and the vaginal canal, but she adapts. If it's a she, whatever the
Mhm.
vulva, the vagina, it adapts. So it
Yeah.
will tighten, it will stretch. And those are things to be mindful of too, because while you think, oh, it only takes this kind of person, like I'm only going to be able to do that, you're not giving room and space for all of the other possibilities and sensations. Like, I'm be honest, because I don't mind telling
Mhm.
everybody my business. I don't mind men with short dicks because that's never going to be painful for me.
But short is
Relative.
in the eye of the vulva, right?
In the eye of the vulva.
Because what's considered short for you is,
Right.
and vice versa. Everybody has their
Right.
scale.
Everybody has.
It's like that measuring tape that I used to carry around with me during my application time. People would just whip it out. They're like, let me see. At one point, I could measure it on my forearm. I got so good. I'm like, you don't quite meet what I'm looking for.
This makes me so happy. This makes me so happy. And I think
Listen, I was very transparent. I had a list. It was on a floppy disk at one point from the first person I've been with, their size, the last time I was with them, da.
yes. And
I was called a hoe for having that list actually in college. I was like, so I'm a hoe
right,
because I know people I've slept
right.
with? Okay, no problem.
That's like the expectation and the sex shaming and all the rest of that is just so common. It's so common.
Because I'm a female, I shouldn't know. I shouldn't say, but that's your business. Because guess what? That's why you're not on it, right?
Oh,
You mad.
so okay, so I love that. And when you first shared that story with me, I was like, I never in my ever thought that someone at that age could be that empowered around sex. Like, and I had my own experience with sexuality at that point in my life, and my choices were empowered. If I think about it, they were just different choices. And I think it's so
Right.
beautiful for people to hear and understand that you did have that level of understanding at that age. And not only did you have that level of understanding, but you also knew where your boundaries were, who you were going to be with, why you were going to be with them. It wasn't the young girl getting duped, or used or whatever, but really knowing what
Absolutely.
you need to know. So,
You're gonna play around in my hole like that. It's not a playground.
I love it. Now, one of the things we did talk about, we haven't touched on yet, is the mental health and sexual history and how that, ties into trauma and communication. Like it's a whole little gamut there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we all know when you have a sexual experience that wasn't quite tailored to you, right? Or you didn't have a hand in writing this thing that you were a part of, that you were
Mhm.
starring in. That trauma is still there. I think about, again, that first time, me and my best friend, we lost ours again, or two best friends, right? And I took things away from the experience. And she's still mad about the experience because it wasn't up to par for her because she was with a beginner. And we are in our 40s. This was over many a decades ago. So that scar of wanting a do-over for something, to have your catalyst be different, because a lot of times if you don't know better, sometimes it's hard to
Mhm.
do better so early, right? So you got into a situation, now you think, well, nobody can't have better than I have to just take this and just be okay with this. And mentally that fucks you up. Because you're like, oh, I do not like this one either. But it's here, so I'll just take it. Oh, hell no.
Pattern.
Oh no. I can't do it. If I don't like it, gotta go. But again, I'm a different person, right? Everybody's different. You know, it's a thing that's still going on. People are still in disbelief. They're like, oh no, you're just making this up because you want to. I don't, there's nothing to sell. This is my story. You can ask my husband. He synced my list before he was on it. He knows the history. That's why because he knows my resume. I'm not going to hide nothing from you. I don't have to make up a story. This truth sounds amazing
Mhm.
because it is what it is. I have had to have very high sex drive for a very long time. I knew how
Yeah.
to navigate it though. I wasn't naive to the fact that this thing is happening. That body was like, ooh, 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 ooh. Did you imagine at 11? At 11, I had, and I still remember the dream. It was so vivid. I had a dream that I had like a whole sex-a-thon. I was like, oh my God, what the hell is happening here? Like,
Mm.
what? So I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Some things are going on here. I remember because I've talked about it, right? But you have to be okay in that space and whatever it is you're thinking about. And a lot of times people are not okay with it. They're like, oh, I shouldn't be thinking about this thing, for religious reasons, because of this, because of that. People are going to shame if they know that I'm talking about. Listen, is it hurting you? No. So
Yeah. That's
I care because.
that is so.
Is it involving you? I don't care.
Yeah. I love the way that you said starring in a play you didn't write. That is so powerful. I think about how we all have our narratives and we all have our stories. And one of the things you pointed out was making sure that your partner knows and having those conversations so that y'all are on the same page. And that makes a big difference. It makes a big difference to your current experience and any
Absolutely.
future experiences you're going to have, that inside of the space of agency will not re-traumatize you.
Right. Because, like, if you tell someone, oh, I've never done this
Mhm.
thing, whatever the thing is, right? And then y'all try it and you look like you're an expert at it. Then the person's like, are you just really excited, or did you lie about never doing this thing? And so now I have doubts that you may be withholding some information here. But if you definitely, people can tell the vibe is just like, okay, I can see that you've never done it. You kind of still like a little bit on the timid side. Yes, people can fake a funk, but
Mhm.
organically, you're like, oh, yeah. You kind of tried this before. Or you just never, ever, ever.
Right? Don't be
Right?
lying. Don't be out there lying in the streets.
Right. And because what is the point though? That was
Right.
before I knew you. Who I was before I knew you have nothing to do with who I am now in this space with you. I am this person
Yeah.
with you now. Who I was 2 weeks ago ain't got nothing to do with you because you wasn't here.
Mm.
You're gonna harshly judge me on that? That's crazy. We're not going back to that. I'm not with dumb people. I'm not. We're here with you. I want you to know about it, but that don't
Right.
define what's happening.
Right. From a place of transparency.
And a lot of people, right? A lot of people are getting judged. That's why they're afraid to tell. You could have had a wild life. You could have could have been balls to the wall. You know, it could have just been that. And now you've changed because everyone sheds a new skin. And now you are a different person in this space. And why should I get judged on where I was at before? In this space now, I don't want that old person. I want something new for myself. But I just wanted to let you
Mhm.
know where I've been, what road I did travel. But I've turned the corner. I went to a new neighborhood, and
Mm.
here I am now.
Mhm.
A lot of people cannot accept that. They really can't.
I
It's
love
really
that.
hard.
I love that. That is phenomenal. Thank you so much. All right, we need to get some of these links on the screen. Lulu, tell us about your work and where we can find you, what we can do.
So I'm an e-commerce. I own OohLuluCherryBox.com, right? And it's everywhere. I'm very Googleable. I love to tell people that you Google by name, you'll find everything, right? I'm on TikTok, trying to learn it up. On Insta all the time. I'm on YouTube. If you've never heard of it, I'm on XBIZ, which is an adult magazine, and they have a podcast platform as well. Um, yeah, a lot of places, right? I'm on LinkedIn and we're here and there. I'm on the X or Twitter or wherever the people are
About your
now.
business.
And I be popping out, right? I'm on pop-up shops. I'm popping out somewhere. I'm doing workshops and speaking engagements and retreats coming up. And so yeah. I'm at schools teaching.
Nice.
Clearly,
Yes. Oh my God. Yes.
right?
Thank you for that. Is there anything you want to say before we wrap up?
um be okay with who you are, right? We all came from somewhere. We all had things that we've done, and so we've looked at it and x-rayed it, if you will, and said, I didn't really like that part of me, so I won't do that anymore. And that's okay. This, for me, this journey that I've been on made me to where I'm at now because I wasn't vulnerable with those people then. They were this for a purpose because I needed to get one off. Just like how penis owners have women just want to get,
Mhm.
that was me. And that's okay for me to be. I can be a vulva owner and be that person too, okay? And
Right.
it's okay if you are. But know your worth, know to be protected, know not to depend on the other person as far as condoms and all those kind of things. And say when it doesn't work for you. Say when it's no, I don't like that. Be okay to say no. It's okay.
Mm.
They'll get over it in a few. But how will you feel after? That lingers with you longer than you saying no, they be mad for a few seconds.
Ooh,
That's
yes.
okay.
Oh my God. Thank you. Good about like it just yeah, thank you. That makes me feel so good in my body to hear that and be inspired and empowered by you. I really, really love what you're bringing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, listen, we here to grow, right? We here to grow, we here to learn, and your journey is your journey. Like I had fun on mine, so I don't have regrets about it
Love
at
that.
all.
Oh, well, thank you so much. Thank you. And everybody out there, thank you so much for joining us today. This is the ItCast, Real Talk on Sex, your community outreach podcast that focuses on conversations on health and sexuality. Through this work, we are creating a world where all people feel loved, honored, and respected. We are brought to you by the House of Sherelle, and you can check out our store at triggerhappytoy.com. Also, the International Institute for Sexual Empowerment, a 501c3 nonprofit that is creating a safe space to talk about sex. Go check them out at iiseglobal.org. Go. If you want to know anything about events we have coming up, visit our calendar at nikashirels.com. And if you want one on one coaching with me, check out my Calendly to book a free connection session. We want to hear from you and ask us anything, get access to our Patreon, and subscribe to this YouTube channel and share with your community. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.
All done. Recording. And